Good evening and good to have you with us in this edition of the Urban Debate. Tonight, viewers, we're going to talk about what's been happening in Tripura and the fallout of the various incidents of violence and clashes that were reported from Tripura. Now, there have been multiple reports in the last week of October from various parts of Tripura that emerged, which spoke about clashes, violence, homes being vandalized, places of worship being targeted, and essentially minorities in many parts also being targeted. As a fallout of that and the reportage and the conversation that took place, especially on social media, the Tripura government and the police administration have now booked over 100 people under the anti-terror law. Over 100 people have been booked under anti-terror law, which is the UAPA. But all of these are not people who were involved in any kind of violence, unrest, or leading the unrest, or triggering or provoking the unrest on ground. Most of these are about those who spoke about it, those who shared reports, who shared videos, perhaps reported on what was happening in certain areas of the state. The Tripura police has booked 102 social media account holders under the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act, criminal conspiracy, forgery charges, and the notices have not just been to these people but actually to Twitter and Facebook and YouTube to also block these accounts and give the details of these account holders, users, their IP addresses and whatnot. Just before this action, the police actually registered a case against 4 Supreme Court lawyers under UAPA and various sections of the Indian Penal Code. Why? Well, the sections we use, essentially the police says, for promoting communal disharmony with their social media posts related to the recent violence. Who are these lawyers? Some of them actually, a couple of them, were the ones who formed their own independent committee and decided to go to Tripura and find out what's going on. And then they came back and they made these claims about what they had seen and what had actually happened during those days of unrest and violence. And that's what they shared. And that is why now they have been booked. Largely, if you see, though the reporting has not been exhaustive about what has happened in Tripura, it was a fallout of what was happening in their neighborhood in Bangladesh. And all of you will remember that there was this communal violence that erupted in Bangladesh, where the minority there, the Hindus, were getting targeted. It turned really ugly. Days of violence that got reported. Along with it was a lot of also fake news, fake videos that were doing the rounds, not just on internet and social media in Bangladesh, but also here in India. There was a lot of misinformation that was floating around. Now, in the parts where these instances were taking place in Bangladesh, these parts are very close to across the border to Tripura. And that's what kind of spread over to Tripura, where religious organizations began to hold protests. Can you imagine this? For what was happening, not in our country, but in another country, communal tension, violence in another country led to incidents of violence, protests, vandalism in a part of our country. There were some protests which were held. These groups of people wanted to enter certain areas which were minority areas. The police actually stopped them. The police is the one that initially tried to stop the movement of some of these protesters. This led to clashes with the police. Houses, shops, religious places were allegedly vandalized in these minority areas. The minority people from this religion were allegedly targeted. And subsequently, this began to spread. Not only civilians, policemen were also injured in what happened in some of these districts. It's largely, the incidents that got reported were from Gomti district in Tripura, then also incidents that came in from Agartala and a few other places in that zone. While this has happened, and one would expect the state government to come up with details on what really took place, who triggered it, who are these groups, who are these miscreants who are adding to the tension, what exactly happened in how many areas, what was the extent of damage. What we have actually seen is complete opposite of that from the state. In a sense, in effort to downplay what was happening, in an effort to deny what was happening on ground, or even say that there was a law and order problem in any of these parts, and then to, in a way, book those who were speaking about it. Activists, lawyers, journalists. And while, yes, anybody who spreads misinformation must be held accountable, and it's very easy these days on social media for those who don't have their feet on ground, who don't have access to primary direct information, to sit back and give commentary on what's going on. And that is extremely dangerous, and I completely believe in that. While that may be true, was there a need to use the anti-terror law UAPA in booking over 100 people? These are the questions that I am asking tonight. A journalist being targeted for reporting on the violence? Is this an attempt to hide state's own failure to deal with what is happening on ground with arbitrary use of UAPA now? And should the focus not really be on who triggered the unrest instead of this? I say good evening to the panelists who are joining us this evening. Mr. B.L. Vora, former DGP of Tripura; Samriddhi Sakunia, journalist, joining me this evening; Adil Singh Boparai of the Congress Party; Sanjay Hegde, senior advocate with the Supreme Court; Deshrata Nigam, advocate with the Supreme Court; Priyanka Tibrewal of the BJP also joining me this evening; and I have Sekhar Datta, convener of Assembly of Journalists from Agartala, also with me. Let me actually first up go across to Samriddhi to add some insights and more weight into what really did happen in Tripura and the action that has subsequently been taken by the state. Samriddhi, what can you share with us?
So firstly, I'll start with the update that 102 handles from Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube has been slapped with UAPA, which is bizarre, which is actually bizarre because they were doing their mere job as a citizen, as an activist, as a journalist. Very interesting fact that out of 102, 99 are Muslims and 3 are Hindus. What happened in Tripura was not something which came out of blue. It was happening for more than 1 week. It was the mainstream media who really did not take a part in covering those. It was the journalists, independent journalists, activists, and the normal public who took to Twitter to tell people that, see, Tripura is burning and you need to pay attention to that. What happened in Bangladesh, the Hindus in Tripura, some sort of mob, actually, I won't say Hindus, I'm sorry, a mob is trying to create violence against Muslims in Tripura. And it was not a sole incident. It started on 22nd, 21st, and it went till 29th. And it was the failure of Tripura police who could not stop the violence. So I think the current update is the UAPA, which is very bizarre because we are being hunt down for doing our jobs.
Yes, that's a big question that many are asking. I want to actually also read out what some of the others who've been booked under UAPA are actually saying. And the questions that they are asking is, well, what are we being targeted for or booked for? One of them, Mir Faisal, and Mir actually shared a video of a rally that was allegedly held there. That video showed a group of people walking through a street with banners, and Mir shared that video saying what was being described or seen in that visual. He is now being booked under UAPA, and Mir Faisal says booked for raising critical questions. Let's not succumb to fake narrative. One of the others who has also been booked is CJ Verleman, who's also been booked, who says that we have been booked for actually reporting evidence of these attacks. We've been booked for reporting on the evidence of what was going on there. And a third person who's also gone ahead and spoken out and not for now gone into silence, is Shyam Meera Singh, who actually claims that he only tweeted 3 words about the state of Tripura and what was happening there, and he's been booked under UAPA. Now, each case will be different. Each case will have to legally now fight whether or not this constitutes for a case under anti-terror law or not. But there is a larger question here, Sanjay Hegde. And the larger question is, if you book over 100 people who are not actually linked directly to what was happening on ground, what does this show? Mr. Hegde, I think you're on mute. Okay, then I think there is an audio problem that we're going to try and fix, and I will come back to you. Yeah. Let me go across to Priyanka Tibrewal, because Priyanka, if anybody who's here sitting discussing Tripura, and I must say information in terms of confirmation on what did happen, did not happen, isn't widely available as far as the state government and official sources is concerned. So I'm asking you, what did happen in Tripura?
See, first of all, before I start, I will say I do not have, or nor am I officially the spokesperson for Tripura, and nor have I been allotted from the party to speak on this topic. But even then, when you are discussing UAPA as an advocate, I will certainly put my views across. So, see, when we speak of freedom of speech, expression, everything understood, there are certain restrictions. You have to be responsible for what you are speaking. Now, these people, you just said that there were evidences and they were reporting those evidences, and that is the reason that they have been booked under UAPA. So I do not agree with you that evidences are reported through media on television. If you had evidences, you should have proceeded to the court. Although the subject matter now stands that they will have to submit those evidences because there are cases against them in the court now. So they'll have to prove what evidences they had. But I completely believe that posting, sharing fake information or misrepresentation of facts, when they are booked under these particular sections, of course, the people or the agencies which have booked them, they will also produce it before the court that how they were fake. So people who had evidences, they will have a fair chance enough before the court to produce and show what evidences they were having.
No, but to your mind, as a lawyer now, then let's talk about that. And we have several of those on this panel tonight, so it will get interesting. Should UAPA be used against people who actually indulged in these acts, or people who reported about it and perhaps knowingly or unknowingly misreported some of the facts?
See, UAPA, definitely people who, who have shared these news and the misrepresentation of facts when they did not have an idea. And those who say that we have formed our own committee, we went there, we have seen, and even then if they are sharing fake news, that means their intentions were different. They knew what they were doing. So that is not only misrepresentation. That is not that they were not aware with what they were doing. And if that raises communal tensions, if that raises hatred, violence, then of course they have to be booked in the UAPA.
Okay. 2 aspects that you raised. Now, an independent committee, you decided to go there. Not a new thing. I can give several recent examples, including the Kathua rape, where independent committees of lawyers landed there, gave their own version of what happened, and nobody asked them questions. In this case, of course, you've decided to slap them with the anti-terror law. That being said, what they saw, what they came back and reported on, is it true or not? The government has to at some point tell us. Mr. Hegde, I think I have your audio back with us. Let's see if we can hear you this time.
See, can you hear me now?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me? Okay. See,
Okay, so now we can see you, but we can't hear you at all. There's a network problem. Let me bring in Adil Singh Bopara as well on this part, Adil. Priyanka Tibrewal says that if somebody is spreading misinformation, then by all means they should be booked under UAPA. I can't hear Adil.
Can you hear me,
Yes,
Tanvi?
now I can.
Tanvi, I'm just outrightly shocked at that statement. Either the previous speaker has not read the UAPA Act, or is it just a statement which has been made without understanding the consequences of the act? The UAPA is the anti-terror law of this country. The UAPA is invoked when you're accused of terrorist activity. I repeat, terrorist activity. Now, even assuming without conceding that there is an allegation of misrepresentation, how does that tantamount to an act of terror? It is just mind boggling. But what is more important, Tanvi, in which the country needs to understand, forget what the BJP says. The country needs to understand that there is a pattern to this madness. I want to remind you the case of a 21-year-old environmentalist called Disha Ravi. She was charged for sedition. What did the High Court say? That the case is a complete hogwash. What has the trial court said in case after case in the Delhi riots cases where the UAP has been invoked? That these are all cases of police high-handedness. The problem today in this country is that the BJP wants to suppress and deprive people of any access to justice. And when I say justice, I just don't mean the courts, but there is a deliberate attempt to suppress any kind of information which is contrary to their liking. I have not heard of journalists, of lawyers being targeted by an anti-terror law in my limited lifespan of about 34 years. This is just mind-boggling. This is weaponization. I repeat, this is weaponization of penal laws in this country. And to be very honest with you, Tanvi, the BJP today is floundering on every parameter. All what they're left with is creating social toxicity and creating social tension. Because this is their politics of polarization. This is what they resort to when they fail on all parameters. And let me remind Ms. Priyanka Tibrewal ji, when a case under UAPA is falsely put under any citizen of this country, you spoil his entire life. Forget when he gets justice after 5 years or 10 years. Just imagine that this is a blot on that person's entire career. Who's going to give him a job? And just for putting out your views, just for highlighting that there is violence, now will this BJP government start invoking the anti-terror law? It is mind-boggling. I'm saying this as a lawyer.
Let me say this, Adil. You say, will this government start invoking? The government has started invoking. In Tripura, it's the UAPA. In some of the other states, it's very often the NSA, which is also used. And the same argument gets made. Mr. B.L. Vora, good evening to you. Mr. Vora,
good evening.
What is very unnerving for me, apart from the fact that over 100 people have been booked under UAPA for simply talking about what happened in Tripura, is also the fact that we don't know enough about the state's action to what happened on ground. Is also the fact that, you know, how many of those who were part of those groups who vandalized, targeted people, indulged in violence, have been caught and booked under anti-terror law, isn't really being the focus of the state itself. To your mind, shouldn't that be the focus?
Well, I think, Tanvi, you hit the nail on the head. First, the facts. If you know, the Tripura state, it's a small state, it protrudes literally into Bangladesh. And the border of Tripura is about 1,000 kilometers with Bangladesh. It's surrounded by all sides by Bangladesh. Now, in no way it is different from happenings, what happens in Bangladesh or what happens in Tripura. In fact, Tripura played a very crucial role in the liberation of Bangladesh at that time. So they and their families across each other. Now, this is one. Talking of the facts, see, to have reactions of what happens in Tripura, reactions in Bangladesh, vice versa, is something common. It is not uncommon at all. Let us come to the facts. Now, there's nothing happening in Agartala. In fact, the main incident took place in a place called Pani Sagar, which is about 100 kilometers from Agartala, and it falls in the North District. Now, there, as a reaction, the Bajrang Dal and VHP, they had done it. Certainly, they did some mischief. There's no doubt about it on the local mosque there. For that, in all, and few incidents in Gomati have taken place and few elsewhere. in all, the police has registered 12 cases in these matters. 6 people have been arrested on the Panisagar side, to the best of my knowledge, out of which 4 are Hindu activists of these groups and 2 are Muslims because of what they had also done as a retaliation. Now, coming to your point of UAPA, see, this talks of unlawful prevention of unlawful activities. The word terror is not there to my knowledge. Maybe I am mistaken. I can be corrected, and I'll welcome that. Now, here, only the cases have been registered. Nobody has been arrested. Idea is that people should come and cooperate with the police and give their side of the story. Out of the 102 cases referred to Twitter, I think Twitter perhaps, 20 have already been deleted by them already. They are agreeing with it. Most of them are fake videos where, intention is by the interested parties, and you know who are the interested parties, the political parties who are opponents and some other groups who are interested in violence and keeping the temperature very high about Hindu-Muslim violence. In Tripura at the moment, as I know from my sources, there's total communal harmony. I think, yes, I do agree they went a little overboard. I mean, 102 is definitely a large number. But I'm told that they are going to look into each case separately. People will be asked to give evidence and all that. They'll be asked to cooperate. It is not as if they have been arrested. So they should do it quickly. So
Okay.
I think 2 points against them. 2
Yes.
points, let me finish, against the Tripura police or the government will be 1, a large number. 2, they should take action very quickly so that everything is cleared.
Yes, Mr. Vora, what you say about the current situation may be true, but it doesn't take away from the fact of what happened there 10 days ago and the extent of what people have seen and reported. And I'm going to go back to Samriti in just a
But
bit.
just 1 minute,
Yes.
Tanvi, just 1
Yes,
minute.
yes.
Nobody has been injured. Nobody has been killed. Nobody has been injured. Let me tell you that. 3-4 shops and 3 houses in Panisagar area, they were vandalized and gutted. And you see Tripura is a very poor state. You can see from the photos itself, the kind of place the people have the shops and houses. Poor
Yes.
place. So
Can I
definitely.
make a short interjection?
But I think we are going overboard in criticizing Tripura police as far as I'm concerned. But of course, they should take fast action.
Okay,
That's
so
what-
two things. Adil, I know you want to come in, but just allow me to get these 2 points clarified.
Can I make
One
a
on the
short
point of
interjection?
what had really happened, and the other point on the law of it, which Mr. Vora raised. On what really happened. Adil, let me just get these 2 points cleared, and I will come to you.
Give me 30 seconds.
30
It's important
seconds,
because-
okay.
30 seconds. Just, I'm quite amazed. I have great respect for Vora Saab, and he's been a very fine officer. But perhaps this must have missed his attention. I will read out for Vora Saab's information the preamble to the UAPA. An
Yeah.
act to provide for the more effective prevention of unlawful activities of individuals and associations, and I underline Vora Saab, and for dealing with terrorist activities. This is the preamble of the Act. Section 13, 15, Section 2K all deals with terrorist activities. And there are judgments of the Honorable Supreme Court which very clearly says that this is the anti-terror law, which must be given strict literal interpretation. It can't be casually used as the women caprice of the ruling political dispensation to stifle any voice or grievance or demand for justice. We are not yet, I repeat, we are not yet an autocratic state. I can't say about 1 week
Yeah,
or
okay.
1 month or
That-
1 year, but we're not yet an autocratic.
Let me add to that, because the argument that is also being made, which Mr. Vora also said, is that no arrests have been made. The fear and the terror that comes along with a UAPA charge, Mr. Vora, is also sometimes enough for people who are not terrorists. To say that you've been booked under UAPA, to know, and most of these people who've been booked under UAPA are very well aware of the fact that bail is, almost impossible to come by. To even make your case, to get a hearing becomes extremely difficult because the law itself is stringent. The law itself is meant to tackle terror suspects, and which is why it's so stringently defined. And if you say it is about a post that you put on social media, people are bound to delete those posts. I am not getting into the merits of whether the posts were real or not. Samriddhi, though, has been tracking what's been happening in Tripura for a while now, Samriddhi. You've also had your own interactions back and forth on your own reportage and the Tripura police responding to us and to your tweets. Take us through some of those details, what you found out, what you saw, and how the state reacted to that information.
So firstly, to answer to sir, none of the people were killed or harassed. Sir, if a person is getting killed or harassed, that does not necessarily mean if a person does not get killed, does not mean the state में कोई violence नहीं हुआ है. Secondly, I have been the victim of intimidation by Tripura police, not once, not twice, not thrice, but more than 10 times now. We are saying that we are criticizing Tripura police more than enough, like overly criticizing. I think we haven't done enough. We haven't criticized them enough because of our हमने कम criticize किया. That's more of a reason. I think the violence took place not once, not twice, but for more than 7 days in this state, right? Tripura police every day or in every 2 days, they reply to my tweet saying that this is false. And to counter that, I every day come up with videos, pictures, and then they vanish. Where is the answer? I'm asking the answer. If I was wrong, why am I not in that list? If I was wrong, these people, I'm blatantly saying Tripura police could not really manage to stop the violence in this state. And I have been the victim of it. I really feel sorry for those 102 who could not have a backing. And that's more of a reason they fall prey to Tripura police. I could not, because I have made my points very clear. And I still ask those people questions that if I was wrong, why there is no legal action against me.
So what is it that you reported on, Samriddhi, in those days?
I would like to give one instance.
Yeah.
It was Chamtila district. It was Chamtila Mosque in Panisagar district, if I'm not a guess. So I had reported that that particular mosque was destroyed. It was vandalized by the mob. And to that particular tweet, they replied to me saying that it has not been vandalized. So do not spread fake news. I counter-replied saying that it has been. Here is the video. Here is the photo. And to that again, they came up with a picture of some other mosque, and they were sitting there, and they said, "See, we are here. The mosque is properly. It is in a proper shape. Nothing happened." And to my surprise, I re-verified that particular video for more than 10 times. So the Supreme Court lawyer who went there, Advocate Ehtisham, I called him and I asked him, "Sir, you are on the ground. What is the update?" And he told me, "Samriddhi, I'm standing right there, Chamtila Mosque. I'm recording the video here. The mosque is completely destroyed."
Okay.
I don't know what to say.
There are videos that have also been shared there.
Yes.
Now, these are all instances that the police actually should be investigating as to what happened. But what's constantly coming from their end is to say nothing has happened. Mr. Deshrathan Nigam, shouldn't UAPA be used to book those who were part of the activities rather than those who were reporting on it?
See, the fact is, Tanvi, it is not only being a part of the activity. If you look at the criminal jurisprudence, those who are behind the scenes, those who are spreading it, those who are part of conspiracy, all come under it. Even a single step taken becomes an attempt also. So that also is punishable. Therefore, let us, in the absence of very clear facts, I don't know how independent this committee is, so I have my doubts. So I'll not go into these disputed facts. It's a matter of investigation. It is too early to comment. However, if you look at the definition of the terrorist act in it, it can be covered there. However, Section 15 has not been used. And here it is Section 13 which has been used as unlawful activity, not Section 15. And these people have not been arrested. And in the event if there are two laws, simultaneous laws available in the Indian Penal Code, which is one of the grounds that they are saying that they should have been booked under normal law, not under UAPA. And if there are two laws simultaneously available on the same issue, then police can use both the laws, one, and the Supreme Court says the special law, which is a UAPA law, will prevail over the normal or the law under the IPC. So they are right. Here is the court will see whether it should be applied or not. But they are well within their rights to apply this law. I am not going into the merits whether they should, whether they are right or wrong as of now, because it will depend on the evidence and various other facts which will come out. And these people have been asked to appear before police and clarify their stance. After there were 151 handles, after scrutiny they narrowed it down to 101 or 102. And then they are saying they must come forward and therefore they have not been arrested and they must clarify their stance. And it's a normal process of investigation. And to say that they cannot apply UAPA law, the law in India provides it, given the definitions of Terrorist Act or Section 13. So as of now, I am not going into the merits of the case.
Yes, okay, fair enough. Let me bring in Mr. Hegde here. Mr. Hegde, to this argument that it's not just about terror-related activities, but unlawful activities, part of the UAPA. They haven't made any arrests yet. They're just asking you to come and explain.
Well, what the police have done, and with deep respect to Mr. Vora, is essentially use a sledgehammer against a fly. There is a local incident. You have failed to control it. You do not want it reported. As the old poem goes, हम आ भी लेते हैं तो हो जाते हैं बदनाम, या कत्ल भी हो तो चर्चा नहीं होती. That is what is happening. They do not want a discussion. Consequently, if you invoke the UAPA and say, okay, I'm giving you notices under the UAPA, you come and assist. So somebody from who is in Kerala, somebody who's in Delhi has to fly to Agartala, thereafter be there at the mercy of the investigating officer, who may or may not arrest him. And in the meanwhile, obviously some people will say, sir, I have deleted my social media post. Please excuse my presence. That is what they've achieved. This is how you get a police state in India. And you start proceedings in a remote place, use the harshest of laws, so that everybody else in mainland India shuts up. That is the objective, and this is, and my real problem is this: that if you abuse harsh laws for purposes for which they were not meant, nobody says you can't use UAPA against a Hafiz Syed. Nobody says you can't use a UAPA against somebody who's a bomber. But if you go after ordinary people like this, sooner or later, UAPA will go the same way as TADA and POTA, which had to be taken back because of misuse.
Yes.
This is effectively giving vast powers to the police, and the police using it to enforce their idea of discipline, which may work within the confines of a small state. But now to get everybody all over India to shut up and say, oh, whatever's happened in the Northeast, we will not comment. That is not what India is. That is not what the Constitution is. I do hope that an appropriate court asks some serious questions of the police officers. Who was it who authorized the invocation of UAPA? Was it a police officer's idea, or were there directions from somewhere?
Well, let me just add to the, to the point that you were making, to the larger point that you were making of how this functions and the impact it has on people and not hardened criminals, but the regular people who may be out there. There has been a 72% increase in the number of UAPA arrests between 2015 and 2019. 72% increase in a country that hasn't seen, that much of unrest. For us to see these level of action take place shows you that there is a big issue with the way the law is being used and implemented. Only 2% of the arrests from 2016 to 2019 were actually convicted. Only 22% of this, a chunk of this 2017 to 2019 have even gone to trial. And I can quote instance after instances where they have not actually even managed to find basic evidence to convince a court why this person should be in jail. Yes, Mr. Nigam, you can reply before I go back to our other panelists.
See, the fact is police has to work within the framework of the laws. There is no denying the fact. And a UAPA law exists, and it is covered under definitions. And so far as if you look at the Delhi riots case, they were all comments on the stage of bail. Nobody has even gone to for quashing the charge sheet. The charges come when the charge sheet is filed, and nobody has, and those charges have not been quashed under UAPA. Please remember that. So what is said in bail is immaterial, absolutely immaterial. It does not affect the case. It does not affect the trial. Any 1 year lawyer can tell you that. So bail is only a liberty which has been given to that person, but not as if they are not guilty or they are guilty. So it will be decided through a process of trial. So and certainly, the law is stringent. Nobody denies that, and law is required also. And nobody is saying it should be misused.
Yeah.
And anybody who misuses it should be dealt with very strictly.
So the debate then is against whom are you using it, Adil, and for what purpose? Are you using it for people who are actually plotting terror attacks, or are you using it against people who are commenting on what has happened on social media? Adil and then Priyanka Tibrewal. Yes, Adil first and then Priyanka Tibrewal.
Let me just sum up the malaise which exists today under any BJP dispensation, under any of their state governments. These are laws which are extremely stringent, and the Supreme Court has time and again said that these laws must be given strict and literal interpretation. Unfortunately, the BJP governments are using these stringent laws to suppress discontent, to suppress justice, and to send a message that if you speak up against us, we are going to send you behind bars. There is a larger messaging which the BJP wants to undertake. Please take the case of Disha Ravi. It's a textbook case. Take the cases when sedition has been invoked against journalists. Today, Delhi police, I'm given to understand according to press reports, is in the process of filing a closure in Disha Ravi's case. That young girl was picked up from Bangalore. She had to spend time in jail, and ultimately the court passed a stinging order against the Delhi police. That is just one illustration how the BJP uses these laws to suppress justice. And it is unfortunate. Nigam Saab is a very fine individual. I am surprised. How can he justify? He's a lawyer at the end of the day. If tomorrow...
That is the reason he is justifying. Because he has read the law.
Against what is going on in Tripura, how can anybody under the sun bring it within the four corners or the contours of UAPA, for heaven's sake?
Adil, while you make that point, I am sure you're well aware of what the way UAP was also used in the last few years in the state of Punjab. And I will cite the fact that from 2 cases of UAPA in 2015, the number of cases that were filed went up to 18 in 2018. In one of those cases, the court actually said not even a single document was produced nor taken into possession as it ordered bail for that specific person. So honestly, political parties then across the board and states across the board seems to be now conveniently understanding how they want to use this law to their purpose. Priyanka wants to come in. I also want to say good evening. Of course it is.
Make a point.
Well, yes, I just want to say good evening to Sekhar Datta, convener Assembly of Journalists in Agartala. But Priyanka, first make your point and then we'll go to Mr. Datta.
Yes, just wanted to make a point. Mr. Adil sitting here, he said that I haven't read the law well. So just Mr. Nigam also made this point, and he explained here that these people who have been booked under Section 13. And I will request Mr. Adil to please read it more carefully, that what is an unlawful activity and what is a terrorist activity. So before speaking about this in the media and again spreading misinformation, it is better that you read the same.
Promoting enmity. Since there are 4 lawyers on this panel tonight, may I just add, all of you are more aware than I am about how many laws exist in our country that can be used for promoting enmity, for spreading communal disharmony, for spreading hatred, for invoking violence, which don't require UAPA being dragged in. And so it's very clear the purpose of using this specific law over others becomes extremely clear, which is the argument that is being made here. But let me ask Mr. Datta. Mr. Datta, how is this decision being viewed, the way the state is responding to those who are talking about what has happened in Tripura?
Actually, Tripura police have made it stand clear in a statement that was issued for media They have clearly said that these people had arrived from Delhi. They visited an abandoned religious place. They tried to incite people and misbehaved with policemen in spite of being repeatedly asked to behave or to conduct themselves decently. They did not do so. They became aggressive, and the police summoned them to the police station in Panisagar. They didn't turn up there. Ultimately, police invoked this UAPA Act and arrested them. So they are now in custody, and the matter will be decided by High Court if they move a petition.
The
That is the
larger
thing.
argument, Mr. Datta, is, apart from these 4 lawyers who were part of their own self-appointed independent committee, there are several others. There are 98 other people who've also been booked for what they put on social media or the claims that they made. The argument of the state is that these things didn't happen, that the situation wasn't so bad, that no places of worship were either targeted, that nobody got injured, and there is absolute communal harmony in all parts of Tripura. What would you say to that?
Well, the situation has been blown out of all proportions by a section of media and by some people in social media posts. That is true. I am based here, I know very well. Some stray incidents took place, like stone pelting, etc., and protest marches had been taken out by some organizations in protest against what happened in Bangladesh. There were 2 minor incidents, one in Panisagar and another in Kodamtala. In Panisagar, 2 shops were gutted, and in Kodamtala also, 2 shops belonging to a rival community were gutted. And an attempt was made to set FIR a religious place in South Tripura, not South Tripura, actually Gumoti district, but people from both the communities came forward and extinguished this. Nothing happened. It was just partially some spots were there. No burning attempts became successful. And overall peace is there. Actually, the communal problem doesn't really exist in Tripura. It is because of some incidents in Bangladesh and reactions here that these unfortunate stray incidents took place. The state is now peaceful as far as communal relation is concerned. Other problems may be there, but the communal problem of communalism is not there in Tripura.
So you're saying there were stray incidents that took place which have been blown out of proportion by a section of media. Now,
Yeah, I do say this.
Yes. Mr. Hegde, if that is the case, and people sitting in national capital or in the financial capital or elsewhere put up posts that say Tripura is burning, would UAPA then be a law that can be used?
Well, they would be guilty of exaggeration.
Yeah.
They may be guilty of bad taste. They may be guilty of not being on the right side of the political divide. But A, there were incidents which remain unaddressed. B, there, as far as I know, India is a democracy and everybody is entitled to have their own opinion or view on anything. If you are going to use laws meant for terrorists against ordinary people in an attempt to shut their mouths up, then those harsh laws also will come under the ambit of judicial scrutiny. Why? Unfortunately, whenever the police are trusted with harsh laws, they end up abusing them. Courts have to step in, and finally legislatures step in and scrap them altogether. It is because TADA and POTA was scrapped because of abuse that the police forces started turning to the UAPA, and then there were after the 2611 in Bombay, that there were amendments made to the UAPA to take care of terrorist acts. The UAPA procedure has been shown to be long and tortuous. The people still haven't forgotten what has happened to Dr. Ambedkar's grandson-in-law, Anand Teltumde. People haven't forgotten that Sudha Bhardwaj, who was tapped for a High Court judgeship, who was a professor of a law school, is still in jail for the last three years and more. So the threat today is that, look, we have this harsh law. If you don't shut your mouth, if you dare open it, this is what we are going to invoke. And yes, we will first send you a notice, then let everybody get scared, and as a consequence, today you will see that people are thinking in twice, thrice, framing tweets and not putting it up. You will soon have the silence of the graveyard presiding over this democracy.
Can I come in, Tanvi?
Yes. Go ahead, please.
No, I heard Sanjay very carefully, which I usually do. And the fact remains that police has two sets of laws. It is well within their rights to apply them. Judiciary will see whether it is correct or not. Judicial scrutiny is there. There is no doubt about it. But social media posts may result into riots and the possibility of panning also. There could be a group, and the police has very clearly said there is one-to-one correlation with the visit of this so-called independent committee and the propaganda. They are saying they are related. Obviously, they have to establish it through various, means and electronic evidence and whatever it is there. As of now, not even Sanjay Hegde can say that these guys are innocent or guilty.
Okay.
I will reserve my comment.
I think, Mr.
comment.
Nigam, I think you obviously you're right. Neither you nor me nor Mr. Vora or Mr. Hegde can actually say whether.
I'd like to say about these.
Yes, but I just want to reiterate the point of the debate here. Nobody is denying even the menace of fake news and propaganda on social media and the effect that it can have, the impact that it can have. And so, yes, while that needs to be tackled, that needs to be addressed, because look at the scenario here. What is it that we're looking at? Hindus were being targeted in Bangladesh. That's where the communal violence began and the unrest began. It led to people protesting in many parts of our country. It happened in Kolkata, it happened in parts of Tripura, it happened several places elsewhere, where people wanted to come out and say that we are standing here and saying what's happening in Bangladesh is not okay. That has now led to, as Mr. Datta is saying, a few incidents, stray incidents of disharmony or unrest in Tripura. That has led to the whole country talking about what's going on in Tripura, what's happening in Tripura, what is really going on. People tweeting about it, people commenting, people beginning to share pictures, people beginning to share videos. Some of those may be true, some of those may not be true. But it has led to an entire conversation that has happened, leading to over 100 people being booked under the anti-terror law by the state, in a message that has even shaken the journalism circles, with the Editors Guild standing and saying we are shocked at this kind of action, and that state's inability is actually being hidden with the use of these arbitrary use of the law. So, real incident aside, it's become into something completely different and political and ideological. At what point do you step in and say, politics and ideology aside, such laws should not be used for misinformation on social media and the claims which are made? Yes, if the people who went as part of this independent fact-finding committee tried to create trouble on ground, as Mr. Datta is right now suggesting, that they went there, they tried to create trouble on ground, they must be held accountable for that. If they intended to incite people over there, they must be held accountable for that. But what about the rest of the 98? That's the big question. 4 hands have gone up. While I was making this point, I will go across quickly to everybody.
Let me barge in for 1 minute.
Okay.
I was just thinking of a scenario where they say, where the Tripura police says, because Tanvi organized this debate, and it was followed by a Twitter storm, therefore, let's invoke UAPA against Mirror now and everybody who follows in a Twitter storm after that.
Yes.
That
Very well aware of that fact.
Possible.
Every night, Mr. Hegde, when I go on air and have conversations of what's going on in this country, I understand the point that you're making. Yes.
That's trivializing the very serious debate.
It's not. The fact of the matter is, the idea of using this law, the messaging against whom the messaging is very clear to people who are in that segment. And how many of them choose to accept that message and change their style really shows you what is happening. Mr. Vora wanted to make a point. Mr. Vora.
Yeah. So the first, of course, I must say, Mr. Adil referred to that terror thing. He said I have not read the preamble. Well, to that, I would stand corrected, but I was actually referring to Section 13, where the cases have been registered actually and not under the terror thing. Now, about the other point, if police takes no action at all in such cases, what will then happen?
Yes.
It will be license for people to do whatever they like, whatever they say. Also, the fact that Twitter has deleted 20 or something, that's what I was told latest this evening, more than 20, they have already deleted, finding them harmful. Yes, I also did say, and I repeat, police did go overboard, if you heard me correctly. And I also said they should investigate it quickly. And it is not necessary for everyone to go physically to Agartala to give their viewpoint. These are the days when, you can send it by mail, by video conferences and all. So I think that the whole thing should be seen in perspective. And Tripura is actually de facto geographically, as I told you, 3/4 of it is protrudes into Bangladesh. Whatever happened is Bangladesh is bound to have repercussions in Tripura, those who know the history and the geography of the place.
Yes, which is why, like Mr. Datta was saying, instances like these haven't happened in past.
Main thing is there's communal harmony totally there.
Yeah.
And there are a few stray incidents. I think we should not blow it out of proportion.
Okay. So those are two different aspects. So one, what happened in Tripura and if that was being blown out of proportion. Two, if the fact that over 100 people have been booked under UAPA is now being blown out of proportion because the government or the police hasn't arrested them, simply booked them. Samriddhi wanted to make a point. Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to make a point on what basis is the Tripura police slapping 102 Twitter, Facebook and YouTube handles. They are slapping them with UAPA. Because initially, I think Tripura police themselves are very confused because initially they told us that there is no such situation of law and order. But at the very time they are giving security to 150 plus mosques. At the very same time, they're saying that there's no such situation of law and order. But they're saying, okay, but okay, few mosques were vandalized. No such order of law and situation. They are saying only on two major areas the situation was out of proportion. But the people on ground, my sources, the people who had to leave their houses because apparently VHP and Bajrang Dal people started to stone pelt at their houses, they had to leave their houses, right? So I think the state and the administration failed to understand their own people. And I need to ask this question to the Tripura police. You very well slapped UAPA on 102 people. How many people who created violence there from VHP and Bajrang Dal are they being slapped? Are they being slapped under UAPA? Because we don't have any information about it in public domain, but they are very well.
Yeah, what the point you're making is what I started off with, because that part about what happened is very difficult to come by from official sources. I can't stand here and sit here in judgment to say what they have or haven't done because they won't tell us. But let me ask Mr. Datta, since he is there, Mr. Datta, how many of the people who've been booked or were involved in these instances, the stray instances that you're referring to, have actually been booked under stringent laws like UAPA? Do we have any information from the police on action taken there?
I can't give you the exact figure, but police say that close to 40 people have been arrested, at least. And I think by now the number is higher. But things are under control and complete harmony is there. There is no problem.
And what have they been booked under?
For creating trouble, etc. And not all of them are not under UPA.
Yeah.
UAPA.
So we are asking a question here.
Things are really under control, and actually the trouble was created by the social media posts, Twitter and other social media, highly exaggerated versions of what happened, and these things. Otherwise, there was.
But how can highly exaggerated versions of what happened create the trouble? The posts were after the trouble actually had happened.
Yeah, but partly, not only, but
so,
partly.
So the posts for which 100 people have been booked are actually after all the trouble happened and not leading to the trouble taking place. The trouble took place of people who may be part of those protest groups, very upset over what was happening in the neighboring country and not ours. Completely out of time. Thank you so much for joining us. But here is what breaks my heart. What is happening in another country has led to instances of violence, fear-mongering, vandalism in our country. And rather than giving us details and facts about what exactly happened, what was targeted, what action has been taken, how many of those people have been booked under stringent sections of our law such that they don't resort to such actions anymore, the entire attention and the energy of the state is behind curbing down what the conversation is on social media. The entire energy of the state is to send a tough message across using very, very, very stringent, draconian, some would say, laws like UAPA. Because the message becomes very clear to those 100 people and maybe 1,000, 1,500 more who would be tracking the story and speaking about it. And that's the larger concern. Should the focus be to tackle what's actually happening and people behind that, or those who are reporting on what really happened after these incidents took place? While I say that, I will not take away from the fact that yes, misinformation, fake narratives, unabashed commentary on sensitive issues on social media is a big challenge in our country. And even the most responsible people often get carried away with the narrative, maybe perhaps, or because of their own beliefs and ideologies, love or hatred for certain sides. And that is a big concern. But perhaps arbitrary use of such a law is not the answer to tackle that challenge. Thank you for joining us.